This is a sponsored video about Trade Coffee, and this is one of Trade's partner roasters showing us what coffee roasting really does to the bean and to our cups. Devotees may know that I only recently became a coffee obsessive, and with the zeal of a convert, I will now tell you what I wish I had known a lot sooner. Roast level is not an indicator of strength. I think a lot of us noobs have an idea that light roasts are for lightweights. Dark roasts are the real business. Yeah, walk on home, boy. Get some hairs on your chest and maybe you'll be ready for the dark stuff. This attitude is nonsense. Roasting the bean to higher temperatures does not make coffee more intense or stimulating or anything. It just makes the coffee different. Roasting is like any other kind of cooking. The more an ingredient is cooked, the more you're tasting the work of the chef. The less it's cooked, the more you're tasting the work of the farmer. In this case, there's no competition because the farmer and the chef are married. This is Leticia Hutchins. This is Harry Hutchins. He's the main roaster here at Alma Coffee, just north of Atlanta. Leticia's family farm in Honduras provides the beans.
My dad is a fourth-generation coffee farmer from Honduras. He was born and raised in coffee farms, and so I'm a fifth-generation coffee farmer. And then some of our certifications down at the farm, we are USDA certified organic down there. Con manos de mujeres, which means with women hands. It was a certification we got to show that we treat women equally and give them the same opportunities and pay them fairly, which in machismo-driven cultures, that's not always the case. So we're really proud to be able to have that designation down in Honduras.
Yeah, Leticia is legit, and she's the kind of person that you connect with when you buy coffee through Trade. You just go to drinktrade.com and take the quiz. If you know nothing about what you like, that's cool, just say so, but I know that I'm liking lighter roasts lately for reasons we will get to. And then Trade brews up a match for you with a roaster like Alma. You want whole bean, pre-ground, decaf, caffeinated, whatever. They will match you with the right producer, and then your coffee will arrive right at your door. The first 100 of you can, of course, get a big discount on your first bag from Trade with my link and code in the description. Check it out, 50% off your first bag. Leticia is shipping out some orders for Trade today in those signature red bags, which are compostable, by the way, plant-based. Trade, of course, only partners with roasters that make, good tasting coffee. But Trade also works really hard to make sure they only match you with roasters who source their beans responsibly. And what does that mean? Coffee is one of these crops that is particularly prone to inequitable international trade. It is primarily grown in less developed countries and exported to much richer ones. The farmers often have very little leverage with which to demand fair prices for their product.
It's not even sustainable for them to feed their kids, put food on the table. And that's really where the issue is. We personally know farmers that have had to cut down their farms, burn their trees, so they're forced to go into other job opportunities, raising cattle, or sometimes even illegal activity, unfortunately, in some of these countries. So along with that as well, other middlemen will sometimes mix old crop with new crop, bad crop with good crop, and you end up with this average soup because you can't trace green bean.
No, she's not talking about like green beans. She's talking about these green coffee beans from her family's own farm, so she knows exactly what she's working with. Or rather, what her husband Harry is working with. He's the roaster here at Alma.
Different varieties, different origins, different terroirs, the environment that the coffee is grown will yield different flavors. And that's what's really fun about coffee, and what's fun about Trade is you get to try coffee from all over. This is the green coffee. There's 2 of these seeds per coffee cherry.
And it is green because all they've done to it so far is remove it from the fruit and dry it. That's it. Now, green coffee is a thing. You can grind that up and brew it. And you get something that tastes a lot more like herbal tea than it does like coffee. To get that coffee taste, you really gotta roast it at least a little. And because Harry and Leticia are young and cool, they have opted for a very untraditional, very high-tech automated roasting system.
About 6-inch flame that heats up the air and brings that air through the coffee roaster right here. There's actually a distribution plate that will expand the heat of the hot air and drive it through the bean pile. I really like this roaster for the consistency because it is air roasted versus with a drum. I feel like I have a lot more precision.
Indeed, check the graph that Harry has programmed in. The x-axis is time, the y-axis is temperature. He can draw a line and the machine will execute it reliably. Hey, look, they named the roast after me. Now don't think for a second that the machine is doing all the work. Harry did a lot of R&D to come up with these curves that he uses, and the process requires his constant, very close attention. This first phase of roasting is called drying. It's exactly what it sounds like, and it takes a couple of minutes.
Okay, so I'm actually going to pull some out for you. It smells very similar to straw or hay.
Yep, that's a good description. Kind of gross, honestly. Being around coffee roasting is not like being around like cake baking. It's not all romantic, wonderful smells. Coffee throws off some pretty weird volatile compounds as it heats up. It also, of course, throws off water. And as you drive that water away, you are able to achieve temperatures on and in the bean where you can get the Maillard reaction. That's the same browning reaction that gets you a delicious crust on bread, for example. And the temperatures here are typical baking temperatures. This is how the coffee looks at about 340 Fahrenheit, 170 C, 5 minutes in.
This is where we're going to start going a little after where the Maillard phase has started.
Would it taste like coffee yet?
I definitely would not be drinking this one yet. It's going to be very, what we call underdeveloped. It'll probably taste and smell like popcorn.
Here we are at like 380 Fahrenheit, and after this, something dramatic happens. After about 7 minutes, the remaining water is drawn into the very center of the bean.
That moisture will build up so much pressure inside the middle of the bean that it'll escape and do what we call first crack.
Literally cracked open. With this roasting machine, that happens at like 395 Fahrenheit, and now it's coffee. The remaining roast phase is called development. This one Harry is going to take to like a medium roast. He is dropping it at 425 Fahrenheit, about 10 minutes in.
Just like a steak or anything that you're cooking, it is still being roasted or cooked. Once it's dropped, we want to stop that immediately.
And that's exactly what's happening here. A fan draws ambient air through the beans as they stir around. You could brew that now, but it would still taste a little popcorny. It's still off-gassing. That's what the little valve on these bags is for. It's to let the gas out.
Just like a fine wine, you want to let it air out a little bit. It's the same thing with coffee. We like to give it about 24 to 48 hours to kind of breathe, to really get those amazing flavors to come out.
So now what if Harry had kept going to maybe 450 Fahrenheit? There's a first crack. Is there a second?
You take the coffee even longer, even darker, there will be a second crack, and those would be definitely a very, very dark roast there.
Yeah, and that's the real intense stuff, right? The real tough guy coffee. Actually, no, not at all.
So the difference between light all the way to dark is really how much acidity, bitterness, and sweetness you're going to be experiencing in that coffee.
The lighter the roast, the more acidic the coffee. So no surprise, that's a hit with me.
It's because we haven't roasted out any of those organic chemicals or any of those characteristics that will give it that acidity.
Lighter roasts also preserve more of the polyphenols, the antioxidants in coffee that are probably quite good for you. The acids, the phenols, they're all breaking down with heat.
As you take the roast even darker, you're going to introduce a lot more bitter flavors. So you're going to go from, say, a milk chocolate kind of taste profile to, say, the dark chocolate, and then start introducing some almost smoky, almost woody or even earthy flavors as you take the coffee even darker.
And if you care about such things, the caffeine starts to break down at much higher temperatures as well. Says science. There have been studies on this, there's links in the descriptions. Very dark roasts can have a lot less caffeine. The more important thing is, dark roasts can taste really good, but they taste like the roast, whereas a light roast tastes like the bean. And when you're buying really special stuff like the coffees Trade will find for you, I think it's worth being open to a lighter roast for that reason alone. But hey, it's your cup of joe, so be honest with Trade when you take the quiz, and they will send you something that you're really gonna love. And you can be pretty confident that it's been ethically sourced. All the roasters have to sign a pledge about that, and here is my pledge to you. The first 100 of you who follow my link in the description will get 50% off your first bag with Trade. You just use my code Ragusia50 and you get free shipping too. Let Trade connect you to awesome roasters like Alma.
Trade is a great platform that's nationwide. It's going to allow us to get to a new audience and for people to discover our coffee that we have planted, we've harvested, imported, exported, and roasted right here in our roasteries.
You're the best, Leticia, and you're the best for watching. Thank you. Remember, do you and me both a favor by using my link and code in the description to get half off. And remember that great coffee roasts come in many colors, none of which are just for tough guys.